All right, Kelly, great to have you with us. Thank you for that live update. I'm pleased to bring in now Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles. He's the House Homeland Security member, House Financial Services as well. Congressman Ogles also on the Border Security Caucus. Good to see you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. Swalwell says the allegations totally false, but dropping out of the race. Talk to us about not just resigning from Congress, but the potential for him to also face more serious criminal charges here.
Yeah, I mean, so I would fully expect that both Gonzalez and Swalwell will be removed from Congress this week. I would actually be shocked if they're not. And it's my understanding that I think the district attorney in New York is looking at allegations against Swalwell. So all this is very troubling. You know, I try not to pass judgment, but, you know, the number of women that have come forward against Swalwell is really mind-boggling. And look, member of Congress or not, if you see an inebriated woman, you know, and sexually assaults her, I mean, come on, like this is not even debatable at this point. The guy needs to resign. He needs to do the right thing. He needs to go home, and enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very serious allegations, as you said. We'll watch
right.
it, how it moves forward in the legal world here. But, you know, we have a comment here from the former House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, who says that Nancy Pelosi, she knew about all the issues concerning Swalwell for years. Here's what he had to say.
I tried to get rid of Swalwell 8 years ago. When I got the briefing, when I became leader with the FBI, Nancy Pelosi was in the room. I turned to her and said, how can you keep her on Intel? Intel is a select committee that only the leaders put on, that you know all the secrets that the members do not.
But
I made a motion.
Was this about sexual misconduct allegations, or?
It was a combination with the Chinese spy and led to all that.
And we know it was Fang 8 years
That's
ago.
right.
I mean, this is really the Democrats saying, this is fine. Why do you think they appeased Eric Swalwell and he was able to kind of get around some of these allegations that have lingered around him for years?
But I mean, Speaker McCarthy hit the nail on the head. You know, I would argue that the Democrats knew that he was a predator, but they protected him. And it was only until he started running for governor and he was in their way that they took him out. And so, again, there's a pattern here. It's got to stop. And, you know, there's actually a slush fund in Congress that pays out some sexual harassment types of allegations. And, you know, I was one of the handful of, I think it was 65 members that voted to make that information public. But look, you know, Swalwell needs to go. Gonzalez needs to go as well. And I think that's going to come to the floor as soon as we get back.
I'm glad you revisited the slush fund, too, because that's another important part of this story that, as you said, needs to be highlighted. Let's talk about what's happening with a couple of pieces of legislation. You've come out to be a vocal critic of the Dignity Act, which many say is not going to help what's happening in our country. Recently on X, you said, you know, replacement of American culture, not a theory. You go into any mall in an American city, it doesn't look like the country we began in. And the act, you say, Dignity Act, is actually just betrayal, America first. You have proposed something called the Assimilation Act. Tell us about that, Congressman Ogles, how important it is that your piece of legislation gets passed to combat some of the bipartisan work over at the Dignity Act that you say is not America first.
Yeah, well, let me be clear. The Dignity Act is nothing more than amnesty. And so my simple response to that is hell no. We're not going to pass amnesty. If you came here illegally, you need to be deported. And so I have the Assimilation Act, which brings common sense back to immigration. So it ends the H-1B visa scam that's used and abused, the chain migration where you see hundreds of thousands of people coming through that shouldn't be here, quite frankly. There's a character component to it, where if you have some ties to a gang or whatever, we can say no. And oh, by the way, we can still say no today. Unfortunately, we don't. And so it's those types of common sense approaches. And then let's look over to the Middle East. Let's say you and I wanted to go to the UAE and get a job or to move to that country. They would require that we have a job. They would require that we are able to support ourselves.
Of course.
You know, and while we're there, we have to pay their taxes and we have to obey their laws. And so bringing common sense back to our immigration is key.